fairly tight here. Moving around into the town activity too. They circulate.
Now this is beginning to be a really dangerous situation, well, it already is, likely to have that tornado on the ground, moving through Sanford right now.
So this is no longer radar indicated. We have a tornado on the ground. You need to be taking shelter from this.
On April 16th, 2011, a high risk of severe weather was issued by the Storm Prediction Center for a large part of eastern North Carolina. While tornadoes are not uncommon in the state, strong winds somewhat are, with only 4 tornadoes being rated F or EF3+ in the decade preceding this event. Conditions were shaping up for a large outbreak to occur with the possibility of strong tornadoes being present. Leading up to this event, a warm front moved across the Carolinas, raising temperatures and bringing in moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. On the morning of the 16th, a cold front moved in from the Appalachians, causing the warm air to rise along the frontal boundary. A large trough which produced support in the upper levels of the atmosphere was present, and combined with the rising air, supplied the lift needed for thunderstorms to develop. During the mid-afternoon hours, temperatures were at their highest. Along with a high amount of moisture at the surface, the added warmth meant very high instability. A low-level jet, or LLJ, is a region of strong winds in the lower part of the atmosphere. An LLJ was present at this time and caused high winds a few thousand feet above the ground. This led to high amounts of shear, another key ingredient for thunderstorm development. The LLJ also caused storm relative helicity values of over 600 meters squared per second squared, which is classified as extreme levels. Storm relative helicity means horizontally rotating air near the ground could be tilted vertically by thunderstorm updrafts, creating a mesocyclone. Seeing these explosive conditions, forecasters at the Storm Prediction Center issued a high risk of severe weather for portions of eastern North Carolina. This risk was tornado-driven, having a 30% risk of tornadoes rated EF2 or higher. A 30% risk of hail and wind was also present for a larger surrounding area. At around noon, a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch was issued, highlighting a high risk of significant tornadoes and severe wind. The conditions were in place for supercells to violently form, and once they did, it would only be a matter of time before they produced tornadoes. Eventually, just as anticipated, thunderstorms exploded along the cold front and developed into a squall line. Usually, supercells form ahead of the squall line, eventually getting absorbed into the line and weakening, but in this case, the high shear prevented supercells from forming this way. The squall line instead transformed into a chain of strong supercells. By 12:40 p.m., a storm had begun rotating, leading the National Weather Service to issue a tornado warning for Rowan County. 1 minute later, the storm produced a short-lived tornado north of Salisbury, North Carolina, which only inflicted damage of EF1 strength. Storms continued to fire off, producing 5 more tornadoes of varying intensity. One of these storms situated over Moore County started showing signs of rotation shortly before 3 p.m. and produced a tornado west of Cameron at 2:53. A storm had yet to take full advantage of the potent environment and produce a strong, long-lived tornado, but this was soon to change. The tornado started off weak, causing mainly shingle damage at EF0 strength. Entering Lee County, the tornado slightly strengthened to an EF1. Based on its current path, it appeared that it would impact suburbs of Sanford, but at its low strength, likely wouldn't be too bad. As the tornado neared the city, it quickly strengthened to an EF3. Damage in the St. Andrews subdivision was severe, with many homes being destroyed and multiple 2-story houses having their second story blown away. Unfortunately, the first fatality from the tornado was caused here. It was estimated that the tornado harbored wind speeds of at least 140 miles per hour in this area. To the northeast, after narrowly missing a child care center, 3 large warehouses were destroyed in an industrial complex with winds possibly over 160 miles per hour. Past this, a Lowe's, Big Lots, and John Deere on South Horner Road were severely damaged at low-end EF3 intensity. East Lee Middle School, north of US 42, missed a direct hit by only a quarter of a mile. If the tornado hit this area only half an hour earlier and a quarter mile to the south, the school would have been hit right as students were being let out. A second fatality occurred as the tornado was exiting town when it picked up and threw a mobile home. After this, the tornado began traveling over mostly forests with few structures in its path. At 3:15, forecasters at the NWS realized that based off its current trajectory, the tornado would directly impact the state capital and second largest city in North Carolina, Raleigh. Since this tornado had already been observed to be large and powerful, a rare tornado emergency was issued for the metro area. Since there were only a few buildings to impact where the tornado currently was, only EF0 to EF1 damage was inflicted, but looking at velocity on radar, it was clearly still as strong as before and showed no signs of weakening. As the tornado continued to approach the downtown, this video was taken from the North Carolina State campus, showing it had become completely shrouded in rain. Holly Springs was the first subdivision to be impacted, luckily if the tornado had weakened to an EF1. Minor damage was inflicted here, mainly consisting of downed trees and power lines, as well as roof damage. At this time, a second tornado emergency was issued for areas northeast of Raleigh. Continuing at this strength through more suburbs, many businesses in the southern parts of downtown Raleigh were impacted, and Shaw University suffered severe damage. Luckily, no fatalities occurred here. Another near miss happened here, with the state capitol building being missed by only half a mile. More neighborhoods as well as the southeast portion of St. Augustine's University were hit following this. The tornado increased to an EF2 before impacting the Stony Brook North Mobile Home Park, where almost every home was damaged and 4 people lost their lives. Another mobile home park was hit after this, but luckily, nobody died in this area. The tornado tracked through numerous suburbs, damaging hundreds of homes for another 13 miles before dissipating over US 401 northeast of Rollsville. The parent storm of this tornado continued traveling long after it, producing 5 more tornadoes including an EF3 near Williamsburg, Virginia. This tornado caused over $172 million in damage to Moore, Lee, Chatham, and Wake counties. During the 1 hour and 22-minute lifespan of the tornado, it traversed 66.9 miles, making it the 4th longest traveling tornado in the state's history. It also killed 6 people and injured 103. The outbreak this tornado was part of had 178 tornadoes, making it the largest outbreak ever at the time, although that record was soon shattered by the 2011 super outbreak. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please consider subscribing so you can learn more about weather phenomena on my channel.